The ballroom went silent, except for the crystal humming above our heads. Sienna stood inches from me in silken fury, her breath sharp with champagne as she held out her palm. "Keys," she said, "to your apartment. Caleb and I are moving in tonight." I stared at the pale half-moons of foundation caked on her nails. "No," I said evenly, "it's not for you." The room shifted. People turned, 130 witnesses. Sienna's smile froze. "You'll hand them over, Lorraine. Consider it our wedding gift from you." "I already gave a gift," I said. "Self-respect." Her hand flashed before I finished the word. The slap cracked through violin music. My cheek burned, but not as hot as the shame in my son's eyes when he didn't move. Caleb, still as a statue, jaw tight, looking anywhere but at me. If you're watching this, drop a comment. Hit like and subscribe, because a slap at my son's wedding turned a quiet mother into a woman with a plan. 30 minutes later, a stranger walked into the hall and said words that iced the whole room. "My name is Margaret Ellen Rowe. I am 69 years old, and 15 minutes ago my daughter-in-law demanded my house keys, then struck me in front of 130 guests. That was the incident that untied the last knot inside me. I set my glass on the dessert table and whispered to my sister, Nora, 'Get my bag.' She is small and loyal and sharp as a pin. She pressed the navy tote into my hands. Inside, a phone, a folder labeled Rowe Trust, and a business card. Caleb stepped toward me at last. "Mom." I lifted a palm. "Not here." He hesitated, then let Sienna tug him away for photographs, her veil floating like a lie that forgot it was see-through. Nora and I slipped into the corridor smelling of lemons. My cheek had cooled to a careful heat. Nora touched it with 2 fingers. "You sure about this?" "I was sure months ago," I said, "when she called my living alone inefficient capital. Today only gave me witnesses." I called the number on the card. "This is Margaret Rowe," I told the man who answered. "Activate the file." He asked for times, spellings, details. 30 minutes, he said. "Expect a knock on the ballroom door." Back inside, the speeches began. The best man roasted Caleb about college. Sienna's mother praised her daughter's savvy eye for real estate. She never looked at me. The slap had already been labeled misunderstood. My cheek hummed like a warning light. I kept still, the way you do in a doctor's office when the needle approaches, breath steady, eyes soft. The folder in my bag held 2 things Sienna never imagined: a recorded deed moving my apartment into an irrevocable trust with me as lifetime tenant, and a notarized notice revoking anyone's permission, Caleb's included, to enter without my invitation. I set it up after Sienna called my lease low-hanging fruit. She thought I was unprotected. She didn't know I had a superintendent and an attorney. The DJ cued the first dance. Caleb held Sienna at arm's length. My heart ached for the boy who used to leave dandelions in my mailbox and spell apartment as apartment, as if the word itself warned how separations begin. "Mags, breathe." "I am," I said. "I'm done holding my breath for people who want my oxygen." 30 minutes after the slap, the ballroom doors opened with a courteous thud. A man in a charcoal suit stepped in, flanked by a woman with a messenger bag. He didn't wear a badge, but he moved like he did. The coordinator hustled toward him, shaking her head. He showed her a paper. She read, went pale, and pointed, straight at Sienna. Sienna stopped mid-twirl. "What is this?" she snapped. The man spoke clearly, voice carrying. "Mrs. Sienna Hale Rowe?" "Sienna Hale," she corrected. "Noted," he said. "I'm a licensed process server, Jacob Miles. Per counsel for Ms. Margaret Rowe, I have notices in a matter concerning elder coercion, civil battery, and unlawful demand of property. You've been identified as a party." Chairs scraped. The violins faltered into silence. Sienna laughed, too bright. "At my wedding?" Jacob didn't blink. "At the first available opportunity." He held out a packet. You are hereby served a formal trespass notice regarding Ms. Rowe's residence, a cease and desist regarding further contact about her property, and a copy of a recorded deed transferring said property into the Rowe Living Trust beyond marital claims. An incident report has been initiated with venue security. Sienna's mother surged forward, bracelets chiming. This is harassment. The woman beside Jacob, quiet, precise, lifted her phone. We have video of the slap from 2 angles, she said. Venue cameras and guest footage preserved. She looked at me and gave the smallest nod. Ms. Duffy keeps promises. Caleb stepped toward Jacob, palms out. There's a mistake. We were only planning to optimize an asset, Ms. Duffy said, reading from her tablet. Your text, Mr. Rowe, Mom's place solves year 1 cash flow. Color bled from his face. He turned to me. Mom, I didn't mean. You meant exactly that, I said gently. You meant me. The music cut. 130 guests leaned like trees toward thunder. Sienna shoved the packet back. I don't accept. Jacob placed it at her feet. Deemed served. Silence fell. My pulse returned to a pace I recognized. Then the double doors parted again. Another figure filled the entry, taller, carrying a thin black case with the county seal. He scanned the room until he found me, then lifted his voice so even the chandeliers listened. Ms. Rowe, he called, I need to speak with you, and with Mr. Caleb Rowe, about a signature that just hit the recorder's office. Sienna went still. Caleb swallowed. Every eye in the hall swung to me, then to him, then back again, like a metronome measuring consequences slowly. He clicked the case open, and the man said, About a deed filed this morning, the man said, voice steady as oak. Recorded at 9:07 a.m., signed and witnessed. Ms. Rowe has transferred her apartment into an irrevocable trust. Mr. Caleb Rowe, you are named only as successor trustee after her lifetime. Effective immediately, neither you nor your spouse has legal access to the property. Gasps shot through the ballroom. Forks clinked on china. Caleb staggered back, as if the words were fists. What? No, Mom, you can't. The official snapped the black case shut. She can. She did. The trust is recorded, permanent, binding. Sienna's mother shrieked, This is absurd. Her bracelets rattled like a warning bell. But the man, Registrar Fields, merely tipped his chin. Absurd or not, it's the law. All eyes turned to me. I rose slowly, letting my chair scrape, the sound like a blade across stone. My cheek still pulsed where Sienna had slapped me. I touched it once, then lowered my hand. This, I said, is what happens when you treat me like furniture to be moved rather than blood who bled for you. Sienna broke into jagged laughter. You think this makes you powerful? Everyone here just saw an old woman humiliate her son. But Caleb's voice cracked, soft and broken. No, Sienna, everyone here just saw the truth. He turned toward me, tears glinting in the chandelier's light. Mom, I stopped him with a hand. Don't say sorry to me tonight. Say it to yourself when you remember the boy you used to be. The reception shattered. Some guests hurried out, whispers trailing like smoke. Others stayed, eyes wide, feeding on the spectacle like crows on a carcass. The DJ fumbled with buttons, turning silence into static. Sienna clutched Caleb's lapel. We can still fix this, she hissed. You'll talk her down tomorrow. We'll take her to court. We'll win. Registrar Fields shook his head. The trust was drawn by counsel, filed clean. Courts don't undo wisdom they respect. Ruth, my attorney, standing like a shadow behind the process server, spoke then, calm but sharp. And we have additional grounds. Battery, witnessed by over 100 people. Surveillance already preserved. Ms. Rowe chooses mercy by not calling the police tonight. She let that hang in the air like the smell of struck matches. The crowd erupted, voices layering, some in support, others in judgment. I heard one aunt whisper, "She deserved it," another mutter, Finally, someone stood up to them. Nora slipped to my side. Her tiny hand wrapped mine. "Come on, Maggie, let's go home." But I wasn't done. Not yet. I stepped into the center of the floor where hydrangeas drooped in glass vases. "Listen," I said. The murmurs stilled. "You all came for a wedding. You witnessed something else. Betrayal is never private. It spills, it stains. But so does truth. And tonight, truth stood its ground." Sienna screeched, "This is my wedding day." "No," I said softly. "This is your verdict." We left. The night air was cool, Chicago wind laced with lake salt. Frank's truck waited by the curb. I climbed in, folder still pressed to my chest. Behind me, the hotel doors slammed. Muffled chaos spilled onto the street like broken music. At home, I set the folder on the mantel. My phone buzzed. An apology text from Caleb. "I don't know who I am anymore. I'll pay back what I can. Please don't erase me." I stared at the words. My cheek still throbbed. I typed only, "I can't erase you. You did that yourself. Find a way back if you can." Then I set the phone down, heavy as stone. Weeks later, the papers picked up the story. Bride demands keys, slaps mill. Wedding halts as process server arrives. The gossip channels devoured it. Strangers wrote letters, some pity, some praise, some venom. I read them all. Caleb moved into a rental above his studio. Rumor says Sienna resented its plain walls, its lack of chandeliers. Rumor says she left one night with her mother's car and never returned. I don't chase rumors. I only know Caleb came by last Sunday with a pie. Apple, poorly baked, crust too thick. He stood at my door, eyes rimmed red. "I can't fix what I let her do," he said, "but I want to try to fix me." I let him in, not because he earned it yet, but because forgiveness is a door you leave unlocked, not a house you surrender. Now I sit on my porch at dusk, cicadas buzzing like an orchestra of persistence. My apartment is mine, locked and safe, wrapped in the trust I built like armor. My sister sits beside me knitting. The sky bruises violet. I think about the slap. The sting is gone, but the echo remains. Betrayal always leaves an echo, yet echoes fade. What remains is choice, the choice to build walls high enough to protect dignity, but not so high that love can't climb back if it's willing. So if you've ever been struck by hand, by words, by betrayal, know this: you are not required to hand over your keys. Not to your home, not to your heart. Have you ever faced betrayal? Share your story in the comments. And don't forget to subscribe, because silence is not survival. Truth is. And the truth is this: no one owns a mother's home or her dignity but her.